I'm Brandon.
I'm Adam. We're Pickwick Commons.
And this is the Better Band Bureau.
Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of my interview with Pickwick Commons. If you didn't check out part 1 last week, it's going to be up here or down in the description below. In part 1 of the interview, we discussed how Brandon and Adam split the management duties of Pickwick Commons, retargeting ads for Facebook, tour management, and why exactly they chose to do 4 smaller, roughly week-long tours rather than one long tour, and why that's incredibly important for a DIY band to consider. This week in part 2, we're going to discuss the biggest challenge for touring as a DIY band. Additionally, we'll talk about budgeting and how you can get free food for your band when you're on the road. So here we go, part 2 of my interview with Pickwick Commons.
So you already talked a little bit about touring and why you split things up into shorter tours. What would you say as a DIY band is the biggest challenge when it comes to touring? And how do you overcome that challenge?
That's tough.
Biggest challenge.
I feel like for a while the biggest challenge was figuring out how to book a good tour, and the truth is that you either need an agent that's already got connections or you need to go out and make those connections for yourself. And Adam's been really good about networking with every single person ever that we meet. He adds them on Facebook, he messages them, he puts their name down somewhere in his phone where he can remember them, and he's built his network really well. And he's also got a team of people that book with him that have their network in other parts of the country. So I think that was the hardest thing to overcome. We're still going to be doing it constantly, but I feel like we've gotten to a point now where we can, or at least Adam seems to be able to book tours a lot more efficiently because of that group of contacts that he's got, or is continuing to build.
I would definitely say another one would be getting the right promoter for your genre to care. So one thing we struggled with for a long time was we were somewhere between hardcore and metalcore. And some of the hardcore promoters weren't so sure about us. They said, the kids that come to our shows might not be into you. And some of the metalcore promoters would be, oh, you don't really sing enough for my big drawing bands to play with you.
Yeah.
So kind of how we tackled that was... with the new record, we had some well-produced music videos, but we made sure that one was specifically a hardcore live video, that whenever there's a hardcore promoter, we hit them with that. And then the other 2 are much more suited to, one of them to a prog promoter and one of them to a metalcore promoter. So it kind of made it easy for us to pick and choose what they're seeing first when we contact someone new.
Yeah.
And that helped us deal with that issue.
Yeah, Adam said he's had great luck since we got those videos out that really catered to a specific, what people wanted to see. The metalcore one was super clean production and fancy looking everything, and then the hardcore one's a dirty little venue with way more kids than needed to be packed into a room, just going crazy. So we've got both images going for us depending on where we're trying to get into, what venue or promoter. So
that sounds like a really creative fix to a difficult problem that probably not a lot of artists would face.
No, but it's working out so far, so we're cool with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then for all the contacts you're reaching out to, do you just keep them in your contacts, or do you use a CRM or some kind of app to track all that?
Google Docs. I have a spreadsheet. So each tour has its own spreadsheet. There's a venue spreadsheet that Brandon built a while ago, but then I have a separate document that just makes sure I don't forget a name. That's just a note on my Mac. All these people are people we know. It's just in case someone, a brain fart, in case it doesn't come to me right away, I can open it up and go, yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah. Luckily, it seems like a little bit for me, but I imagine even more for Adam, is we almost have a friendship or a personal connection half these people now anyway because we played there 4 times or, something like that. And it's like, you don't even, sure, we could write their name down, but we already know them so well, it's not even something we're forgetting anymore. Like, we have a lot of promoter friends out there now that actually are friends with people we regularly talk to and see them on Facebook and stuff all the time to stay up to date. So,
and it's a lot more fun to tour those cities because of it. Because you're hanging out all night instead of, trying to meet new people. You're getting to meet new people while hanging out with your friends.
Yeah, it's it becomes more of a community than a weird online friendship. I don't know. I guess that's
where you ask for stuff.
Yeah, yeah. You're more friends then. So that's cool and something I've enjoyed seeing. And Adam's more involved with the promoters than anyone else in the band. But I mean, some of us are still even friends with all of them. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something really important to mention too. Like when you're building your network, you have to reciprocate. You can't just ask for stuff like you were mentioning. You have to give something. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing that a lot of bands need to learn. And thinking back, we met once 4 years ago at Warped Tour.
Yes.
Kansas City.
That was a long time ago.
And we chatted for like maybe 5 minutes.
Oh, that's
tops.
where you met?
Yeah. He was at Bonner Springs, and so I added him on Facebook, and we've talked like very minimally, but on occasion.
Yeah, like once or twice a year, maybe.
Yeah, for like the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Also, you and was Colin. We were the only 2 members that were even.
No, Colin was in it.
He was?
Yeah, that was Colin's first tour.
Oh, that's right. We have a different bass player now.
Before.
And I don't think he also listened to the mixes for the new album.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, like Tuesday's song, I think, right?
Yeah, gave me feedback. You and a few other people from around the country that we just randomly met, became friends with from touring and stuff, So even mixed critique or whatever, like, you will find friends the more you tour, and I don't know, it's just a cool community you build. So
yeah,
and that's also another good way that just put in my head of befriending people and giving them some benefit is if you let them listen to your mixes early and ask for feedback, that makes them feel valued as a fan. So if you do that with a select handful of people that you know are into what you're doing, those people could easily become super fans and tell other people about your band. So I definitely suggest doing that.
Yeah.
But more specifically, back on the topic of touring, and this time budgeting, which is a big one for a lot of bands. First of all, do you guys specifically put a budget in mind? It sounds like you do from what you were saying earlier.
Well, for touring specifically, we have a Google Doc. Like, we have a Google Doc for every tour, and then do you just make the accounting underneath on the bottom of that doc?
So that's in the overall spreadsheet.
That's
so
right.
We have a big spreadsheet that has our overall calendar.
We have a lot of spreadsheets.
Yeah. It's the overall calendar, and then it's got like the tab with his venue list. It's got a tab with, in the past it was like labels we'd talk to or whatever, just tracking our conversations. But one of the tabs is accounting, and it tracks anything one of us donates to the band, to get a leg up on whatever.
Yeah.
And then if they get paid back, it tracks what we make at each show and what it's made on. It tracks, what we spend on gas, what we spend on repairs. So it's got the money coming in, the money going out, and the money scattered in by ourselves if need be.
Everything's in there. The system could be slightly more organized, but honestly, if we ever need to figure anything out, it's only a few seconds of fiddling around in there, and we've got, we can add up how much did we spend on diesel on this tour, or how much, whatever. How much were those tires we had to buy 4 months ago? Like, it's in there somewhere. So.
Yeah, and our tour budgeting is really, I make sure the guarantee's going to cover our gas, and then everyone takes care of their own food, which means everything we make from merch is going back into the band.
Back into buying more merch or paying for literally anything.
Yeah.
We have paid for our own food out of band cash before, and it's always really nice on tour to do that, but then we end up having to chip in personal money somewhere else down the line, so we just kind of were like, hey, let's all just cover ourselves, because it forces us to be as thrifty as one wants to be on the road. And we do try to keep our costs down. You can't see it, but there's a microwave like behind us, behind this bench, that runs off an inverter, and like So, you know, we'll stop at Walmart and buy Easy Mac and ramen, and we'll make meals for like $1 or $2 a person all the time, just to keep costs down. So, yeah, we do some budgeting, and hopefully one day we can, you know, have per diem for every person or whatever. But for now, it's all like we're here because we are passionate about this and love what we're doing, and if that's what it takes, paying our own way a little bit, then we're definitely going to do it. So.
Yeah, and especially too, you know, you pay for your own food at home. So
exactly.
Up to a reasonable amount. Obviously, it's more expensive to live on the road, but
there's
absolutely. Also other expenses that you're probably not paying as much. Like you're not using as much water, electricity when you're not at home.
Yeah,
exactly.
So.
Yeah,
it's pretty much the only expense we have to cover is food.
Yeah, and I mean we for other bands like I recommend like try hitting up Chipotle's. We get free meals all the time at Chipotle's. Another great story about making friends with someone. The manager at the local Chipotle here came and saw us last time we were in town a few months ago, and tonight he brought us a full catering spread to the venue we were playing.
Yep.
And
fed all the bands.
He brought enough food for 25 people, and we're taking all the leftovers after the show's over.
Yeah.
So like, that's a great example of like random friendship we made turning into something really cool. Like, I don't feel like we deserve all that free food, but I mean, hey, that's like he really dug us and cares about us, and so I mean that's awesome. We appreciate it. So
yeah, good guy.
Make friends and ask them to bring you food.
Have you looked into the Taco Bell sponsorship out there?
Yeah, we have. We've applied. When it's hard to figure out when the applications are open because it's quarterly, and we've applied. We haven't won it yet, but I think probably a couple hundred bands apply a quarter, and 10 bands get it.
Yeah.
So hoping for it.
We'll keep trying. I mean, we do stop at Taco Bell on occasion. It's cheap.
Chipotle is healthier.
Chipotle's healthier and all, but we will stop at Taco Bell on occasion. Also, they have vegan options, and our guitar player is vegan, so that's really helpful when we can all stop in one place and get something for everyone.
All right, that's it for this week. I hope you learned a lot from Pickwick Commons about touring, networking, and food on the road. Next week, in the third and final part of my interview with Pickwick Commons, we'll talk about some of the technology and apps they use to manage their tour and their band. In the 21st century, this is absolutely vital for bands to understand. So I really hope you come back and check that out. It'll be live next Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. In addition to what apps the band uses, we'll also talk about keeping up morale on tour, as well as the number one tip that Adam and Brandon have for you to keep your band going. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Again, part 3 will be released next Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, if you have a question, just drop a comment below, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Have a great week, and keep rocking.